Hi everybody, it's Crystal. Welcome to my channel, Bagoday Crochet. So thank you for joining me. So today I'm going to be demonstrating a stitch tutorial for you. And this stitch is called the banner stitch. So I don't believe that is hard, but given the stitches that you need to know, it might be an intermediate pattern. But beginners, I think if you know how to double and crochet, single crochet, at least give it a try. I think you could do it. I always encourage everybody to try. That's how you learn. So this, you can look at it, it's a very dense fabric. It has post stitches here and it has some side clusters here. It's very cool looking. So it can be used for many things. Since it being such a dense pattern, I can see it working well for sweaters, blankets, very cool blanket, bags, things in the kitchen. Maybe like you could use it for a nice table runner or placemat or pot or hot pad or something. You know, if you're given the right yarn, I would definitely use a cotton for that. But you know, many things I think you could use this for. I like it a lot. This is the front. It is the main focal point of it, as the back is pretty plain there on the back. So the front and back are not the same. But like I said, it's just a 2-row repeat, so it's not hard at all. You guys want to go ahead and get started on it, and I'll tell you about the yarn that I used for this particular stitch tutorial. I like it. I think it's cool. I think it'd make a really neat bag. That's probably what I would do with it. But then again, if I made blankets, I'd probably make a blanket out of it, but I'm not a big blanket maker. Alright, for this particular stitch tutorial, I am going to be using a Red Heart Super Saver Ombre, which is a 100% acrylic, a medium weight number 4 yarn. And the color I have is called Green Apple. Now remember, you, depending on what project that you're going to be using, and make a great rectangle wrap as well. Depending on what project you're going to be using, you can use any type of yarn, you know, that you desire. And then for the purpose of this stitch tutorial, I'll be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. So why don't we go ahead and begin. First off, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give this video a like. I'd really appreciate it. And leave me a comment below. Let me know what you'd make, what you are going to make if you use this stitch, or what you would make if you were going to use this stitch. I'd be really interested. And I do want to point out, it is a bit of a yarn eater, for those of you who like to know that. Yes, it does eat up your yarn just a little bit faster than some stitches do. Okay, so this stitch is done in a multiple of 4 plus 3. So depending on what you're making, you need your chain to be evenly divisible by 4, and then you add 3 more stitches to it. Alright, so once you get your multiple of 4 plus 3, we'll go ahead and we'll start with row 1. Row 1, we are going to do a double crochet in the 4th stitch from the hook. So we do not count the one that's on our hook. So 1, 2, 3, in the 4th stitch, we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet. And then we will do a double crochet into the next 2 stitches. There's 1, and there's 2. Now we're going to work a side cluster. Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to work in this second double crochet here. This chain here counts as 1 double crochet, but we're going to work in this one right here. So it always works best, I think, if you turn your work a little bit on its side. And what we're going to do, I like to do this, it's just easier to pull your, we're going to be working around the post of this stitch, just to kind of pull it up like that, fold it in half, that way you can see what you're doing. We're going to yarn over and go around the post of that stitch, see that? And we're going to grab our yarn and pull it up, and we're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on our hook. We want to do that 3 times total, so that is number 1. We're going to do it again. We're going to yarn over, we're going to go around the same post, drop a loop, and then we're going to yarn over and go around, pull through the next 2 loops on our hook. So that was 2 times that we've done that. Let's do that one more time. We're going to yarn over, go around the post again, draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. Now you should have 4 that remain. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our chain, and we are going to yarn over and go into the next stitch, or the next chain space, the empty one. Draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, and now you'll have 5 loops that remain. Yarn over and go through the remaining 5 loops, like that. And now we're going to do a double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So we're starting our repeat now. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to go back and we're going to work that side cluster again, and we're going to work it in this first double crochet here of our group of 3. So again, it's easy. Turn your piece over on its side, take that post, pull it up, pull it out so you can clearly see it. Fold your work in half, and we're going to yarn over and go around the post of that stitch, draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. We want to do that 3 times total, so that was number 1. Again, yarn over, go around the same post, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the next 2. That was 2 times. One more time, we're going to yarn over, go around the same post, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. You should have 4 loops on your hook. Now we're going to bring our work back around, and in the next empty chain space right here, we're going to yarn over, go into that chain space, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. You should have 5 loops that remain, and yarn over and go through the remaining 5, just like that. So now we have worked 2 of our side clusters. So why don't we go ahead and repeat again by doing a double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now again, we're going to go back and do a side cluster into the first double crochet here that we just did in our group of 3. So again, I'm going to pull it over on its side, pull up that post because that's what we're going to be working around. And let's go ahead and do our side cluster again, just like we did before. So we're going to yarn over, go around that post, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. We need to do that 3 times, so that would be number 1. There's number 2, one more time. That's number 3. You should have 4 loops on your hook. Now let's go ahead and put our chain back straight again. And into the next empty stitch, which is right here, we are going to yarn over and go into that stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. You'll have 5 loops that remain. Yarn over and go through all 5. So this is a pattern that we're going to repeat until we get near the end of the row. So again, 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Side cluster here into the very first one of that group of 3. I got 4 loops on my hook. Now I'm going to yarn over and go directly into the next empty stitch. Draw up a loop. I'm going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on my hook. And then I should have 5 that remain, and I'm going to yarn over and go through the remaining 5. Now I'm going to keep repeating this pattern so I get near the end of the row. So again, it'd be one double crochet in the next 3 and then your side cluster, and keep repeating that, and I'll meet back up with you near the end. Alright, I'm nearing the end of my row, and I just did a side cluster, and I have my 4 loops here, and I have 1 stitch that remains, and I'm just going to finish it out the same way we finished out. Same way we've been doing all of them. I'm going to yarn over and go into that last stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. You have 5 loops left, yarn over and go through the remaining 5. So that will end row 1. So now we're going to start row 2. So rows 2 and 3 are the repeat rows for this pattern. Okay, so for row 2 we are going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. Now we're going to start off by putting a double crochet right back into this little chain 1 space that we did here on the end. So it's kind of tight, but kind of go right into that little spot there and do a double crochet. Okay, and we're going to skip this cluster here, this stitch here, and you see these 2 double crochets here on the back. We're going to put 1 double crochet on the top in each of those right at the top. So there's 1, and then you go to the next one. Make sure you're just getting the top of the stitch. Don't grab this cluster or anything. And there's 2, and then we're going to put 1 more double crochet right here in this space here. See that? Now we're going to work a back post double crochet around the post of this stitch right here. So we're going to yarn over and we're going to go around it. It's down here kind of at the bottom of the cluster. Don't worry, after this it gets easier because the post will start lining up. We're just now making the post. So, and just do a back post double, just like that. And now we're going to repeat what we just did. So we're going to skip this stitch right here, which is kind of the cluster, and we're going to put a double crochet into these next 2 double crochets on the back. So there's 1 there, 1 there, and then we're going to put a double crochet right here. There's like gaping hole thing right here in this spot. So that was 3 double crochets there that we have done. And now we're going to do our back post double crochet around the post of this stitch, which is our cluster is kind of wrapped around. So yarn over and from the back side like this, go around kind of the bottom and do a back post double crochet just like that. And we will repeat again. So we're going to skip this little stitch here, and then there's these 2 double crochets here. We're going to put 1 double crochet in the top of each of those, making sure that we don't go into any part of the cluster in the front. And then this gap here, we're just going to go right into this spot here. So that was 3 double crochets in a row that we have done. And now we're going to do our back post double crochet around this post here. So we're going to yarn over, and from the back side we go around the post. So you can see that it is on the back side of our hook, and a back post double crochet like that. And then we repeat again. Skip this one, 1 double crochet into the next 2. And then a double crochet into this spot here, and this big gaping spot right here. And then we're going to back post double crochet around the post of this stitch here. Remember, this is the hardest one. After this, it's a breeze. This back post is a little tricky. Awkward. It's just awkward. That's it. I promise it gets easier. like that. Now I'm going to repeat this pattern until I get near the end of the row. All right, I'm nearing the end of row 2. I just did a back post double crochet. So what I want to do is I want to skip this cluster here, or skip this stitch like always. I want double crochet in these next 2 double crochets. So there's 1, 2. Now actually there's another one here. We're going to go into the top of the cluster right here. See that? I'm going to put a double crochet and then 1 in the top of this chain space. Remember I said this counted as a chain, or this counted as a double crochet in the beginning. So into the top of that chain as well. Just like that. So that completes row 2. So now we're going to start row 3. Row 3 is a cluster row again, but it's going to be done completely differently. It's the way we're going to do the cluster rows from now on. So we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. We're going to go right back into this very first stitch and double crochet. And then we're going to put a double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. There's 1, 2, and there's 3. Now we're going to work a cluster again, but remember the cluster is going to be a little bit different than how we did before because we're going to be working with these post stitches now. And this is a way that we're going to be doing the cluster row from now on. So we're going to work back into the third double crochet back, 1, 2, 3, just like we did before. And we're going to make the cluster the same way on the first part. So we're going to yarn over, go around the post, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. We want to do that 3 times, so that would be number 1. Yarn over and go through the post, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2. That's 2 times. Again, yarn over, around the post, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. So you will have 4 loops on your hook, just like before. Now this is where it's going to be different than before. We're going to be working around this back. This is actually the back post from the previous row, remember? It's now in the front. So what we're going to do, we got 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over twice, like you would for a triple crochet. And we're going to go around the post here. See that? And we're going to draw up a loop. And we're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and go through the next 2 loops on our hook. And you'll have 5 loops that remain. We're going to yarn over and go through the remaining 5 loops. So it was similar to the clusters on the row 1, except for we're incorporating a front post triple crochet there along with the cluster. Okay. Now we are going to put 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches. This is just a repeat. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to go back to that first one and we're going to work our cluster around the post of it, just like we did before. So there's 3 of them, or there's 4 loops, just like before. Here's where we are different. Yarn over twice and go around the post of this stitch here. See that? Just right through it. I like to fold my work in half when I work post stitches. I don't know why, it's just easier. Draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the next 2. 5 loops will remain. Yarn over and go through all 5 loops. There it is. That's how it's done on this round and this row, and for every row now until you finish your project. So again, we're going to do a double crochet into the next 3 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3. Back it up to your first double crochet and we'll work that cluster again with the front post triple attached to it. So I got my 4 loops. I'm going to yarn over twice and I'm going to go around the post of the next post stitch here. Draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the next 2, 5 loops remain, yarn over and go through all 5. There it is, and that is what we're going to repeat now for row 3. So again, it'll be 1 double crochet into the next 3, and then you will do your cluster stitch with your front post triple attached, just like we did before. And I'm going to meet back up with you at the end of the row. All right, I'm coming to the end of row 3. I'm going to show you how we end the row. So as you can see, we do have 4 stitches that remain. So we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, and there's 3. Now we're going to back it up and we're going to do our side cluster here, but we're going to end it a little bit differently because we don't have a post stitch here on the end like we do here. So we got our 4 loops. Now what we're going to do is just yarn over 1 time, go into the top of that last stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, 5 loops remain, yarn over and go through all 5 loops. So that is how you end row 3. So the more rows you do, the more visible your post stitches will start to be. So now it's just a repeat of rows 2 and 3. So it's very easy. It becomes very easy because the post stitches start to line up. So for row 4, I'm going to repeat what we did on row 2 by chaining 1 and turning our work and going right back into that space right there. And doing a double crochet. Not a half double, sorry about that. Try that again. And then we will skip this first stitch here and these 2 doubles right here. We're going to put 1 double crochet in each of those. And then a double crochet in this little space right here, just like we did before. And now we need to work our back post double crochet, and if you look, you'll be able to see that it's much easier now because you're going around this post stitch here. So now it's just a matter of keeping the posts lined up. So back post double right around that post there from the previous row. Much easier now. And then you repeat, skip this first stitch here, double crochet into the next 2. So remember, we're just repeating now what we did on row 2 for row 4. I'm just showing you how much easier it is now that we have some posts started up and they're lined up. So we're going to do our back post double crochet there around the post back there. And that is it. We'll just repeat this to the end. Now there's really no difference other than when you get to the end, there is no chain space here like there was before. There's an actual stitch. So when you get there, when we did row 2 earlier and we got to the end, there was a chain space here. See that? That's not there. It's just a stitch now that you go into, so it's much easier now. So keep repeating rows 2 and 3. I'll put some timestamps below in the description box in the comment section. And after a few repeats, this is what it'll start to look like. I think it looks super cool. Like I said, if I made blankets, I think it would make an awesome blanket. But since I don't, a bag would probably be what I would make out of it. Or it'd make a nice chunky accordion or something like that. But whatever you choose to make with it, please do show me a picture. Post it on my Bagoday Crochet page, Facebook page, or my Instagram. Links to those below in the description box. Please don't forget to tell me if or what you would make with this if you decide to use this stitch in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a like, and I'll see you on my next video. Hey, don't forget to check out all my other of hundreds and hundreds of crochet tutorials. I got anything that you could ever want to make and multiples of them. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.